r/legal advice. Sneaky bastard useful says. Cops broke the door of my house, used a battering ram. Do I have legal recourse? Hi everyone, so my roommate has diabetes and his parents couldn't get in touch with him. They were afraid he was having a medical emergency and called cops. Cops showed up and broke down the door at 4 AM. He was not having a medical emergency, was just asleep. Did they need a warrant in this situation? Is it justified because there was a potential health emergency? The only information they were acting on came from his parents' edit. Should included this in the original post, but to provide a little more context. Parents did not have access to his blood sugar when they called the cops. My roommate stopped sharing it with them because they called him about it constantly, like during class or at work. Team Stark 31 says. They don't need a warrant if there was probable cause someone might be in danger. As such, they will likely not be liable for damage. Did they try to contact him or knock before entering? Seems unlikely but not impossible. You didn't know they were there until they broke the door down. You also didn't list a location. Sneaky bastard useful says. Thanks for the response. We were all asleep when police got there. I personally slept through the entire thing. I will have to ask my roommate to see what made them resort to knocking down the door. Do you think a phone call from my roommate's parent is enough for probable cause? It's my understanding that they only told police that they didn't have access to his blood sugar level because he stopped sharing it with them and they couldn't get in touch with him. And for location, I live in Pennsylvania. Chuckles65 says. I responded to a call like this once. Your roommate likely wears a blood sugar monitor that alerts when he is becoming hypoglycemic. It can be set to send an alert to someone else too, parents for example. We were finally able to get someone to come to the door and allow us to check on him. If that hadn't happened, we had enough exigency to force the door though. Wiziman says. Sounds like your roommate is on the hook. I would make them pay or take them to court. It sucks, but they are responsible. Sneaky bastard useful says. That's what I'm thinking. He's a good dude, but his parents are kind of crazy. My thought is I'm gonna gently be like, hey man, this shouldn't affect my security deposit. If his parents try to wiggle out of that, I'll have to brainstorm what to do then. What Porter says. Check and see if the municipality, city/town/county/state that employs the police has a claim form for property damage. It may be as simple as filing the form and waiting to see if they will reimburse you at least some of the cost of repair. In Nick, the claim would go through the controller's office. They would perform an investigation, then make a determination about reimbursement. Farrah Penguins Kilda says. Mummy and daddy can pay for it. r/legal advice. Ingjariok 9037 says. My girlfriend beat me unconscious. This happened on Sunday. My girlfriend and I were arguing about her driving. Every time she drives us to school, she's always late. I said that if she didn't change, I would start driving myself. However, I'm only 15 and she's 18, so I don't really have a choice. My parents have work all the time. I don't really argue at all, so at first she was confused. But the more we argued, the more aggressive she was. She started stepping up on me, and she started, like, putting her hands on my shoulders and neck. I don't know why, but I just froze. I don't really remember too much, but the general thing I remember was that she was kneeling on me, and she was punching me, and I was bleeding a lot. I woke up an hour later, I think, because I checked the time on the phone. After I vomited a little, I walked home, because usually I would ride with my girlfriend, who left. This was on our school's parking lot, by the way. I'm not sure if there are cameras. I hope someone passing by at least saw it. I haven't talked to her since. I'm scared of doing anything, and even though it sounds weird, I still am attracted to her. However, I do know that breaking up would probably be best. But should I get a restraining order? Should I call the cops on her or just let her go? Please DM if you want to give me advice, because I want to keep asking for advice here, but I guess you can't comment. Yefkurs Boredom says. Also, you need to be seen by a doctor. Waking up and vomiting after being knocked is likely a concussion. You may have problems later on, but need medical treatment now. Keep in mind that you may not be thinking clearly due to a concussion. You need to be seen by a doctor at an ER. The police can also help you with that. You could have serious injuries, eye pointy, brain bleed, while still thinking I'm fine. Or it'll be okay. Artilisilent says. If he was truly unconscious for an hour, that's in severe traumatic brain injury territory, not just a concussion. Agreed that he needs immediate medical attention. Yefkurs Boredom says. Agreed, he needs to be seen by a medical professional ASAP. Yefkurs Boredom says. Yeah, just go to the cops. If she's done this to you, she's probably done it before, but will most likely do it again to someone else. She could have killed you by going too far. Especially if there's strangulation involved. She did harm to you, and possibly did some lasting damage. You can't be knocked unconscious or strangled and expect there to be no lasting side effects. She's an adult and is responsible for her own actions. Regarding this type of domestic violence, you could prevent this from happening to someone else. Find a way to get to the police station. If not, call them and ask them to come to you. Protect yourself, even if you have to ask others for help. Ingeriok 9037 says. I'm scared though. I don't know why. Do you think she'll get mad at me? Yefkurs Boredom says. The police can help you get a restraining order. She can be mad all she wants, but will not be allowed to be around you. This person is no longer your girlfriend. She's dangerous and harmful to you. She may have thought she killed you and fled. Let your parents know what happened. I strongly believe given the circumstances they will be supportive. It's not your fault. You may feel guilty, but you are not. It is what's known as victim mentality. Katititikus says. I understand it's only a 3-year age gap, but when I was 18 years old, 15-year-olds were like babies to me. I would try to cut her out of your life completely. She is harming you, and most likely manipulating, and possibly even grooming you. None of this is your fault, and it doesn't matter if you hurt her feelings. As long as you are safe, your life is worth so much more than a legal adult's feelings. And if she's dating a 15-year-old at 18 instead of people her own age, then that probably means there's a reason people her age aren't going for her, and vice versa. r/legal advice. Puzzle Hiladed Pi 5031 says. Ex-girlfriend harassing and online stalking me and my current girlfriend. I'm afraid to go to police. Because she is threatening to turn me into the police for statutory R, because she was 16 over 17, and I was 18 over 19 when we dated. She's escalating her stalking of my current girlfriend and mimicking her posts. She contacts my family and tells them invented stories about a child we didn't have and said that I did not do. I want to file a civil harassment restraining order to stop her from contacting us, but I'm afraid of her retaliation with a report of statutory rape from over a year ago and her fabricated stories. What can I do to make her stop? I'm afraid she will do something even crazier than she already has. In California. Xerxa Spoon says. What state is this in? That's not statutory rape in most states. Jail for Cheeto 1124 says. Not statutory rape. Go to the police. People who threaten that shit have a lot more to hide than you. Are you going to wait till she attacks you, or your GF, and injures or kills you? She is insane. Crazy as an outhouse rat, if half of what you're saying is true. McGriff says, if she said this in texts, you have evidence. Go get a restraining order and show them proof. Red Twin says, I'd contact an attorney at least and see what they say. Minplum says, make sure to save all texts and voicemails. File a restraining order. r/legal advice. Striking Cap 8380 says, prevent husband from taking kids around charged pedophile grandfather. My husband's father, the grandfather of our 4 and 6-year-old kids, was caught in a pedophile sting about a year ago, a 14-year-old girl. He confessed, so his guilt is not an issue. He is currently out on bail pending trial, etc. No trial date yet. My husband and I are planning a family trip with relatives on his side out of state with our children. I have a strong suspicion that my husband thinks his father, the admitted pedophile, is going on the trip and staying with his relatives in a house right next to us and would obviously be constantly interacting with us. My stance is hell no. If his pedophile father attends, then I'm not going and neither are our children. My husband was very offended and pissed when I told him that. So the question is, can I legally prevent my husband from taking our children around his father? I reviewed the bail terms, and, surprisingly, they do not require the grandfather to stay away from children. Otherwise Force 6410 says, this isn't going to be popular, but it's the legal answer. No, you cannot prevent your husband from doing this. You cannot get a restraining order against someone who has not done specific things against you or your kids. These specific conditions are outlined by each state's restraining order requirements. Legally speaking, you're married, and your husband can choose to take your kids wherever he wants within the country whenever he wants. There is no court order preventing that. And unfortunately, it's unlikely any court order would be able to apply for this specific situation. Denser Neighborhood 983 says, is he even allowed to leave state on bond? That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.